different for mobiles, especially for mobiles and smart devices. I developed application, let's say Wipro.com. So if I load Wipro.com in my Chrome browser, if I load my Wipro.com here in the desktop Chrome browser, so it loads in a proper manner as per the view of how the desktop appears. Let me say if the same Wipro.com, if I am loading in a mobile device, you cannot see the menus which it is appeared as in the desktop. So if it in desktop, you can see services, industry, digital, homeless, innovation, and geographies, right? And if you are loading the same thing, the same Wipro, the URL, I have not changed the URL. When I am loading it in a mobile screen size, right? So this is a, let me say I will select Samsung S5 mobile screen size, and I will make. So when I load the same Wipro.com in Samsung, so this is my user interface. It loads like this. Okay, I cannot see the menus directly available here. Now I have a menu bar button which is automatically generated. So when I click on this, then I am able to see the services, industries, digitals, homes, geographies like this. So this is because this is a responsive web application what Wipro has built. So based on your screen size, it will automatically load your screen. So that's where if you load in a tablet screen, so this is not a simulator, Pallavi. It is a simple Chrome browser. In Chrome browser, I am loading the mobile, this complete Wipro web application in mobile screen. So if when you click beside inspector, a toggle device toolbar is there. So when you click on this, so it will load in a mobile screen size. So now you can select what type of screen size you want to load it. So is it iPhone 6, 7 or iPhone X? So when you say iPhone X, if you see the orientation is high, and because the device landscape is high, or you can give your own screen size here, responsive. Then you can just select a screen size like 800 into 826. Now this is a similar to a tablet size. So even for tablet, it was not loaded properly. Let's increase some more to see the menu bar. So your menu bar is available like this when you load the same Wipro in a mobile device. Clear? So this is called responsive web design. So after our APM session, let's have a one-day session for testing your responsive web application. Let's consider any application which will work with Selenium with for Chrome browser. Then APM for Android Chrome browser, and test the same application and same script for in both the Chrome as well as in mobile device. So so that's where you have seen right now in iPhone it has been loading in a different way in different devices in different things. So you cannot keep on do manual testing for all the operating systems like Android, iOS, Windows mobiles like this. So that's where you're coming up with automation solution where you can automate the user interface and you can check whether the test case is being passed, failed like this. And by this, if you test all, you do a lot of test coverage, then users will feel happy and they will give a very good feedback in the App Store or Play Store. Okay. So this is what the quality of mobile application look like when you perform this one. So this is the types of testing. As I told you, you have a lot of mobile testing types which need to perform on mobile application. Functionality, you need to consider at least 21% to do functional testing, and speed of your application. When I say speed, so if your device is having 8 GB of memory and around 7 GB is filled, and you are using that particular application, so if your application is not responding fast, or if it's responding very slow, then it is also a defect which is in your application, not with the device. So your application, let me say, let's say WhatsApp. It's an application which requires around 100 MB to run on your particular mobile device. Now you have left 300 MB free space in your mobile device. And still, if you are working with WhatsApp, if your application, your WhatsApp is not responding properly, then it is a defect with your WhatsApp application. So you need to make sure that. Also, if I'm loading this application in a Wi-Fi network or 5G network where I'm having very good speed, or a 4G network, after that the user will be traveling in a bus or a train, something like that, he will get a 2G network speed. Then even then your application should not allow the user to quit. It should keep on responding based on the user internet speed. So even the speed factor is very important when you do your mobile automation testing, or general mobile testing. It's not necessarily required to be automation. So 16% of your effort should be spent on speed testing, how speed your application is there. Then as I told, simplicity makes the best in the market. So your application should be 20% simple enough. So if you see this major contribution, simplicity, practicality, speed and functionality. When you focus all these, around 80 to 90% your app is success, and you'll be working fine. So if you see now here, there are two colors. One is the pink color and one is the green color. So pink color refers the developer should put efforts, 21% efforts for functionality of your application, and 26% by tester, or the consumers is going to, developers and testers are going to put 21% of effort for functionality, and the consumers will look 26% into our application functionality. Like let's say out of 100 people, 26 people will think about only functionality of your application, and 16 to 20 people will think about the speed of the application, and simplicity, 16% will, out of 100, 16% will think about how simple the application is. So these are the generic market strategic characteristics which makes the app better. So then, what are the complexities in mobile landscape? So as I tell, operating system. Mobile has a lot of operating systems like Android, iOS, Windows, BlackBerry, Firefox, Symbian, like this, and different screen sizes. So mobile starts with a 3.5-inch screen, 4-inch screen, 4.5, 5.5, 5.65. 6-inch, 6.25-inch. So different, nowadays a lot of vendors in the market are giving lot of screen sizes, and 7-inch, 10-inch tablets. When you come to iPhone, you have 5-inch, 6-inch, 5.5-inch, and the iPads of different 10-inch iPad you have, and you have 12-inch and 15-inch iPads as well. And the screen resolution. So screen sizes and screen resolutions are completely different, guys. So you can compare your screen resolutions like this. Let me show you a simple example in Chrome browser. So let me select Nexus 5 as the device, or Samsung Galaxy S5. So when I load in Galaxy S5, so this is the, from this diagonal till this diagonal is calculated your resolution. So your resolution will be calculated in this way. This is the screen size. So this is how you calculate your screen size. So Samsung S5 and iPhone screen sizes are almost similar, but when you load iPhone X, it will look in this particular diagonal waves. So this is called, this is how you need to pixels. In a simpler way, in a layman's terms, it is called pixels. When you test your pixels, you are testing your screen resolutions. Then okay. So then as I told, device manufacturers, lot of device manufacturers are there. Like in Android, multiple people. For iOS, it's only one. BlackBerry, again, couple of manufacturers are there. In Windows, it is manufactured currently by Microsoft. And Firefox OS, multiple open source companies are using this Firefox OS and Symbian OS. So Symbian was from Nokia, guys. And again, you need to consider smartphone or a tablet. And what is the processor used? So when you execute 200 scripts, so this is a real issue which I have faced. So I had a test suite of 250 test cases which is written in Perfecto or CTest Cloud, CTest automation. It's not a APM tool. It's a commercial tool which is used for mobile, CTest automation. So when I executed these 250 scripts in Nexus 5 and in Samsung S3, all the 250 scripts are executed perfectly in Nexus 5. Whereas when I compared after 68 script, the Samsung S3 device has got restarted, even though the battery was completely full. The battery was charged, keep on charging for 100%. It has got restarted. It's because the GPU is completely filled. The GPU memory is filled, and the device was not able to fetch the cache memory. So the script was not able to execute, and the commands were keep on pushing to the device. So the device got restarted. So you need to even consider the GPU or the CPU speed, 1.2 gigahertz or 1.8 gigahertz, 2.4 gigahertz, like this. What is the speed of your processor? What you are using is matters for your mobile automation. Okay. So any queries in complexities of mobile landscape? So I hope most of the people who are attending this training, almost 40 participants, everyone has a smartphone. How many of you know what type of application you are using in your day-to-day life? So when you are opening a Gmail, so what type of application it is? When you are opening a camera, what type of application it is? So do you know what type of application Gmail is, guys? Mailing application, right? It is a mailing application, but mobile has 3 different types of application. One is native, hybrid, and web applications. Yes, Pallavi, it's like web application is a right, but yeah, web application is right. Even Gmail can be a hybrid application. I'll show you why and how. So what application is this one? Adobe, like you view the PDF, right, in Adobe Acrobat. So what is this application it is? It's a native application, correct? Right. And what is Angry Birds? You are playing a game, right? What type of application it is? It's hybrid. Yes, it's a native application. Sometimes it can be a hybrid. I will tell you again why. And like this, Facebook, it's a hybrid application, or camera is a native application. So like this, what are native applications, what are hybrid applications, and what are web applications? We'll come back to this slide a while after. So now let's see what are native applications. So the applications which are purely lying on your mobile device, just take a handset in your mobile and check what are the applications that are purely lying in your mobile, like camera. Camera is your mobile which doesn't require internet. So all your native applications is not required, internet is not required for you to access your native applications. Example, camera, your settings, your mobile settings is there, right? Under settings, you will have different menus like device settings, system settings, security settings, like this. So everything, all applications which doesn't require internet connectivity, which are working with your pure native operating system. Suppose if you're using an Android device, your application will interact only with your Android operating system. Or if you're using iOS device, your camera, iOS camera, when you open a cam in iPhone 5, it will interact only with the software which is installed, iOS software which is installed in your mobile device. It doesn't require any internet connection. All the offline applications are called native applications. Clear, guys? Example, Angry Birds, a game which is installed in your mobile. So after playing your game, you can connect to internet, then upload your score to your forum or the Angry Birds forum, whatever the Temple Run forum it is. These are the applications which are lying in the device, which doesn't require internet connection, but still you can play the games all levels, and or you can take a snaps like this. These applications are called native applications. Clear? So then what are hybrid applications? So hybrid applications, the applications which are installing in the mobile device, but still if you want to use that particular mobile device after installing, you need internet connection. Without your internet connection, you cannot work with your hybrid application. Example, your Facebook application, your Amazon application, which is downloaded from Play Store, or your Play Store itself. If you switch off your device Wi-Fi connection and device mobile data, can you access Play Store? And can you search an application and install from Play Store? It's not possible, because it is, the applications are in server machine, but still this mobile, it is installed in your mobile native. Like for Android, you have APK file, right? So these APKs are put into Play Store. From Play Store, you are downloading Amazon application, you are installing in your local device. Can you launch your Amazon application if you're not connected to internet? I'm just asking, can you launch your application if you're not connected to internet? You can launch your application, guys. You can launch your Amazon application even though if you're not connected to internet, but you cannot search any product. Your native screen, what the developer has kept for home or login page, only that screen you can see. You cannot get the latest products which are updated in the web portal on top of your application. You can just launch your application and see your previous products which has been loaded by developer, correct? But you cannot book a product, add the product to cart and do payment and all. It's not possible if you're not connected to internet. So this type of applications, the applications which are installed in the mobile device, mobile operating system, as well as it requires internet connectivity to access that particular devices, are called hybrid applications. Basically, hybrid applications are built with, for example, if it is Android, it is built with Android SDK with the modules of HTML5, CSS, and JavaScript. And if it is iOS, it is built with Xcode, again with the modules of HTML, and all these web elements will be available with hybrid applications. Example, guys, any other examples other than Amazon and Flipkart? Any other examples for hybrid application other than Amazon, Flipkart, or Facebook? So any other? WhatsApp. WhatsApp is an hybrid application because without internet you cannot update your status. Like all the banking application, guys, like you have ICICI Bank application, HDFC, Standard Chartered, then you have some other sites like OLX, all these OLX, whatever it is, Myntra, right? All the shopping applications which requires internet are example of hybrid application. Clear? Yeah, even Gmail, and mailing apps. So Gmail is installed in your mobile device, but still you need internet connection to get updates from your latest email. Clear? So what is web application and how do you launch web application, guys? When I say in mobile testing, what do you mean by web app, and how exactly you are launching and using your web app? By entering a URL, browsing, yes. So in Android, what is the native browser? It's a Chrome. For iOS, Safari. So Android operating system was taken over by Google developers, and it has been put into open forum. So for Android, by default, Chrome is your open source browser from version 4.0 and above. So if you see the iPhone, the phones which are before ice cream sandwich version, which is 4.0.3, 4.3.0, your phones will have a different browser. It will have a native browser which is coming with your Android. It will not have a Chrome browser. Chrome browser was just an application in Play Store. You need to download, install, and you need to work with that. But after 4.3 from KitKat, exactly from KitKat operating system, after 4.4 and above, all the operating system till 9 and Android 10 is going to come. So till Android 10, you will be having a inbuilt browser already installed, which is called Chrome browser, because it is a part of Google developer Android operating system. So the native browser of your Android is Google Chrome, and for iOS, traditionally only Safari browser is your native browser, but still from App Store you can download Chrome browser and other browsers. Clear? So just remember this, guys. In APM, if you want to automate for web applications, in Android by default you will be able to automate only on Chrome browsers. For iOS, you will be able to automate only on Safari browser for web application. Clear? So what are web applications? So let's say you can open Amazon.com in Chrome browser, open a Chrome browser, launch, type HTTPS Amazon.in. So it will load the user interface or the Wipro.com. It will load the user interface. Then based on your mobile screen, you will have a test case. Hey, if it is 5-inch screen, please consider these are the checkpoints. If the menu bar is available or not, then after clicking menu bar, all the menu options is displayed in a proper standard or not. So you basically will check all the wireframes, all the functionalities like this. So the web applications are nothing but your URLs. So it is common for even in a desktop mission as well. In a desktop, you will open browser, you will launch your web application with the help of URL. So as I told now, what is the advantages of having native application? So very good advanced user interface can be built, and the performance will be very fast. So when you open camera, it doesn't take much time to load. It doesn't depend on internet connection and all. Since it is on lying an operating system, it will immediately open, or if you're opening a settings, it will immediately open and you can do your task whatever you want to do. So because it is lying on the core of operating system. When I say web applications, so this basically web developers and the mobile application developers who has knowledge on both the operating system like Android or Xcode. If people are working with iOS mobiles, they need to know Objective-C and Shift programming and the Xcode in Mac Mission. to develop application for iOS. If you want to develop an application for Android, you need to know Android SDK with a Java programming language. Clear? Now people will have both what are web elements, and what are native elements, and how to combine web and native elements and generate a good user interfaces. So those people are generating hybrid applications just to give better performance for than web applications. So when you use web applications, you'll get the user will not have very good user interactions, and he will feel frustrated very soon. Because I'll give a best example in the next slide. That's why people develop an hybrid applications, install in the mobile device, then they will start interacting with the web components. So by seeing this slide, so there are native as well as web. What differences can you do? This is a Gmail application which I have opened in a Chrome browser. In Chrome browser, I have opened Gmail application here, and this is a Gmail application which is already installed in the mobile device. So this guy is feeling to use the hybrid application only instead of web application. Can you name some can you tell some reasons why he is using he's preferring to use hybrid application? So what are the advantages that user is going to get by using this hybrid application instead of launching a browser in Chrome? Fast interaction, correct? So a lot of advantages are there, guys, not only one or two. So you have many advantages. At least I'm expecting a couple of things for you to guess. So easy launch, we can easily open by launching the app speed. So yeah, correct. So I have an application which is installed in mobile device. I can just go and I can just click on a tab button. Yeah, no need to log in, correct. So let me explain a couple of advantages here. So if I want to open this particular Gmail in Chrome browser URL, I need to type www.gmail.com. So then I need to wait for the login page to log in. Then I need to enter username, password. Then I need to click on inbox. So if you see here, the user interface has been loaded like this. Okay. So if I want to do the process till the inbox launch in a hybrid application, it's hassle free. I can just go and touch an icon which is available in my mobile. If I touch the icon, automatically my Gmail inbox will be available. Clear? Now, the next thing is, suppose if you want to delete an email, you will see, oh, this is a junk email which is coming in Hindi. I don't want to see this. So what I need to do is, I will just want to delete. So in a web application, you need to go click here, click on the checkbox. Then you'll get some options like delete, move to folders, or whatever the option. So then you need to select the delete button. It will delete. Then you will get a pop-up. Then you will click on pop-up button. So if in this case for the hybrid applications, it's just a matter of pushing it to left or right. So even pushing to right or left is user's choice. User can go to the settings of your hybrid application. Then he can select, let's say if the user is pushing left side, I need to archive this message. If the user is pushing to right side, I need to delete this message. So like this, you can do settings in your hybrid applications, and login is not required here. So your security will be coming directly with your mobile screen lock only. So if your mobile screen lock is unlocked, you can connect directly to Gmail. Okay, the app is very user friendly. If you see, if you want to just create an email, So just go and click on this particular button which is available in the downwards. So here you need to create this button. Then it will tell you either modify or create a new email like this. So this is how user friendly it is. Then if you want to refresh an application, you need to come here, click on this particular refresh icon. Then it will start refreshing your emails. Here it's just drag your screen downwards so that it will leave it. So it will automatically refresh your inbox. So this is the user will, we can have your emails, last viewed emails. Let's say if you once the email is downloaded here into your mobile inbox, so it can store it with your mobile memory and you can view the previous emails. Whereas if you want, if once you close the browser or the tab, then again you need to start the process from the beginning. So that's where the user will prefer to use these hybrid applications instead of web applications. Not always, but in some scenarios. So that's why people are building applications for Flipkart, Amazon. So if you go to Flipkart, you will have a lot of hundreds of options. So the user cannot, for simple operation, user cannot do 3-4 steps in web application, right? So user will install native application where it will give a rich user interface, and it will be very user friendly for the user to use hybrid applications. That's why all the companies are investing a lot of efforts and money into developing hybrid applications. So clear, guys, what is hybrid, native and web applications in mobile? And what are the major differences between native and web applications? So any queries here? Now let's discuss what are the pros and cons of APM automation tool. So no, the advantages are no need to recompile your application, or you don't need to source code. You don't want source code. You just need only APK file. APK, if you have APK file, it's more than enough. So the developer, let's say the application is developed by some other company like Infosys, and we need to test it. It doesn't require any source code. All you need to do, all you want to for your application testing is APK file or IPA file. So no recompilation is required here. And testing on multiple Android devices, you can do parallel execution for mobile automation. So that's the beauty again here. And it is completely open source, no licensing cost is included, supports Android, iOS and Windows platform. Windows in the sense it's not Windows Mobile, guys, it's Windows operating system like Chrome browser, Mozilla browser here. This is the laptop or computer, not a Windows Mobile. And support for native, hybrid and web applications. So you can automate your native applications as well. You can go modify your settings, change your settings with the APM script, and you can automate your web applications. Then you can write your programming language in your desired programming language. Then standard API. Let's say if driver dot, if you want to find an element, driver dot find element, then you have by class. In by class, what are the options that you have to find in web element? In Selenium, what are the by class methods for you to identify? Yeah, by XPath, by class, by name, by ID, by link text, by partial link text. These are the methods which you have in by. So like that, this when you say by link text, even in iOS it will be by link text. It will not change from operating system to operating system or device to device. The method is same everywhere. Okay. Yeah, by CSS selector like this. What are the disadvantages? As you know, every open source tool will come with some disadvantages or some limitations or some drawbacks, right? So APM parallel execution is not possible in iOS. I will tell you how and why during the architecture, while explaining the architecture for iOS. no support for Android version below 4.1. So nowadays there are no mobiles for Android below 4.1 as well. So no need to worry about this point. So below 4.1 mobiles, we were testing with the Selenium Chromium driver. We have a Chromium driver in Selendroid, which is a part of Selenium itself. So with Selendroid, we were testing. So now I think there are no applications which are below 4.1, 0.1% out of 100%, which are applications with the or mobile devices with the 4.1 version. Now, limited in iOS, it's a limited, not only iOS, but even in Android, it's a limited support for hybrid application testing. For example, not possible to test switching between action of an application from web to native, native to web, vice versa. Let me quote an example like you have booked a product in a Flipkart native hybrid application in your mobile device. Now, when you're doing payment, what type of application you will get? When you click on net banking, you will get a browser, right? You will automatically browser you will get. Then web element and web views are coming. So to handle that one, you need to switch from hybrid application to native view to web view. So in previous versions, in latest version, it is possible with some descriptive programming. If you write some lines of code, it is possible now with APM. In previous version, it was a drawback. Clear, guys? So these are the disadvantages of APM. So let's have a quick summary what we have learned in this lesson. APM is an open source automation tool which is used to test hybrid native and web applications. Supports different browsers in the sense like Chrome and Safari, and it supports mobile platforms like Android and iOS, and different application types like banking, finance, whatever the application it is, it can be automated. And what is the need for mobile automation or mobile application testing? So basically, you need to do user interface testing, functional testing, and we have seen some of the complexities, like what you need to consider when you are doing your mobile automation testing, like different mobile devices, operating systems, screen size, like this. So are you clear with these basic fundamentals, guys, of mobile testing and the simple intro for APM? Let's have a quick review questions. APM is a tool that supports only web-based application. Is it true or false? It's a false. It supports all web, native and hybrid applications. And APM is built upon Selenium. And why is that question mark? So APM is developed with Node.js. That's fine. So APM is developed with Node.js, but APM architecture was built upon top of Selenium WebDriver itself. Okay. So APM is developed with Node.js server. So Node.js is the language which is used to develop APM tool. So APM supports how many types of applications? 3. Okay. So parallel execution for Android is restricted. True. How come? Parallel execution for iOS is restricted. So parallel execution for iOS, it is restricted, it is true. For Android, it is false, because in Android, you can execute your script in multiple devices. Let's say you have automated a simple use case for Wipro.com that you can execute in Nexus 5 device, Samsung S device, and one more tablet, all the 3 devices in the same time. But if you are using one Mac machine and trying to automate your iOS application, it is not possible for you to execute in parallel because it's a limitation in the iOS architecture itself. It's not a limitation with APM tool, it's a limitation with iOS architecture. So we will discuss that soon. So any queries? Okay, let's have a quick break for 10 minutes, guys. I need some vocal rest. We'll So this is a theory class. I should keep on talking. So let's start some second lesson after the break. Guys, let's resume the session. Can someone confirm if you are able to hear me? Okay, great. So, in the previous lesson, we have seen what is APM and why we need to do mobile automation testing. So, in this lesson, we will see what is the overview of APM and what are the design concepts of APM, prerequisites, list of softwares that are required to install APM tool, and we'll discuss what is the architecture of APM and APM setup. We'll do the setup. So before doing APM setup, we need to do some other software installations like Node.js and SDK and some device drivers if you are connecting device for the first time. Okay. Then we'll write a simple script. We'll see. So there are some topics missing here, like Android debug bridge and all. So in Android SDK, Android debug bridge is very important component. So let's discuss about Android debug bridge as well. Then we'll write a simple script for working for Android web. So we'll try to reuse the script which we have written for our desktop automation, for the desktop one. Okay. So then we'll see what is package name and activity name for native applications and hybrid applications. How to locate your elements for your hybrid and native applications. For web applications, how do you locate your element, guys? How do you identify your web elements for web applications? XPath. So normally how you identify XPath, you will just go to Chrome developer options. When you press F12, developer options open in Chrome, Mozilla and IE, right? Firepath we have seen in Mozilla. Yeah, it's a dev tools. So even for mobile web, it is same. You can directly identify the XPath from there only. But what about native applications and web application, hybrid applications? For setting, how do you identify XPath for settings? XPath or element names, or for a Flipkart application, you cannot launch this Flipkart mobile application, right, in a browser. It's a mobile application which is installed. For that, you will have some tools like UI Automator, which is coming from Android SDK. We will see that's why Android SDK is a very important part when you're doing mobile automation testing. So just pay attention when you are working with installation of Android SDK and setting up the Android SDK path to environment variables. So that's the very important topic, guys. So then we'll see what are the common errors that you will face in APM and what are the troubleshoots that you need to do. Okay. So the design concepts. How many of you are aware of Selenium grid? How the Selenium grid will work, guys? Can you just give in a one-liner or two-liner? So it's used for parallel execution. So what is the process? So how exactly you will be starting? Just in a simple, very simple few words, what is the process of Selenium grid? Server and host, correct. So Selenium is nothing but you will start a server and you'll start connecting nodes to that particular server hub, correct? So how many missions if you want to connect, that many hubs you will, that many nodes you will start and you will give the hub address for connection. Once the connection is success, then you will start loading your scripts in your server mission, correct? So APM is something like that, client server architecture, where client is called your code what you're writing and server is called HTTP server. APM is as I told, APM is an HTTP server which is written in Node.js. Node.js is a platform or a language. So you need to start this HTTP server to listen all your commands from the client. Client is nothing but your code, what you're writing. In Selenium architecture, you know language bindings, right? So these language bindings are called the clients of your APM. So hence before initializing APM server, Node.js must be pre-installed on the machine. So we will download Node.js and we will try to install that on the machine. Okay. So when APM is downloaded and installed, then a server is set up on our machine that exposes the REST API. So it's a same architecture for Selenium. You will have all your Java code converted into JSON file, JSON wire protocol. So this JSON wire protocol is transferred in the form of HTTP with REST API to, with the help of Chrome driver.exe to your browser. Correct? Same thing will happen even in APM as well. You will have Chrome driver, you will have REST API, but the only thing is your HTTP server will transfer that code, not your WebDriver API will transfer. In Selenium, your WebDriver API is directly transferring. Here, your APM will transfer. For this server, you need to push commands in the form of code, Java code, what you are writing. So do not worry much about that. We will discuss in while discussing architecture of APM. Now it receives a connection command. So it's just like a design concept, guys. So I'll just skip this slide. I'll explain and cover when we are explaining architecture. And what are the prerequisites and softwares which are required to work with APM? So you need Android SDK, you need Java, you need Eclipse, you need TestNG, WebDriver, which is nothing but Selenium jar files, and APM for Windows. Selenium jar file is already available here. Language binding. So client libraries. So this client libraries is nothing but an additional jar which is with respect to APM mobile automation. So this client library you can download from apm.io. I will show you how to download. Then Selenium jar files, APM Java client, and APK file. So this is for extra curricular activity, not to worry. So in this software prerequisites list, how many softwares do we already used in our previous sessions? That's it, Pallavi. WebDriver, yeah, WebDriver we have used. Selenium jars we have used. Okay, so the rest jars is nothing but Android SDK. So we will see how can you download that. So these are the links for each and every dependency or prerequisites of APM. So you can directly navigate to this particular link. I'll share the document. Just navigate here, start downloading your SDKs or your softwares, whatever you need. Okay. So before discussing the architecture of APM, yeah, let's discuss the architecture of APM. So as I told, you will have your language bindings, right? So your language, you can select any language like Java, C#, Python, PHP, Node.js, Perl, whatever the language it is. With that, suppose we are using Java, we are using editor of Eclipse, right? Similarly, if you're using Python, you will have some PyCharm, or if you're using like C#, you will have Visual Studio, like so you will have different editors for your different language workings. Here you will write your WebDriver script. Clear? So once your script is ready here, then what exactly happens? You will install. So you don't worry what is APM server. Is it a big mystery like that? So just think that it is a server, HTTP server, which is running here. Now you will start a APM server. What this APM server will do is, so let me take a paint for better understanding. So we know Selenium architecture, right? It's very similar to Selenium here. So okay, so here is your language bindings. Sorry. So this is also called as client. Clear? So what are the languages that you write here? You can write the code in Java, multiple languages, like it goes on here. And C#. Then what is the next step, guys? So next step is you will have your session object with APM server. So this is your APM server. Let's make this like this. So this is your APM server. Guys, this architecture is only for Android. iOS also similar. It looks same, but minor changes will be there. So I don't want to confuse you with all those at a time. We'll discuss on iOS in when you are working with iOS. Okay. So this architecture is only for Android. Okay. So you have APM server. You have language bindings here ready. And you need your UI automator or Android SDK here. So before installing each and every software, if you understand the architecture very clearly, how the APM is working, then it is a cakewalk for you and to debug the defects or to work with the softwares. So while installing Android SDK, you might think, hey, I already installed APM server. Why do I need Android SDK? All this UI automator, ADB bridge, and all. So you will have better understanding later. So then you will have your real mobile device or emulator or a simulator here. Okay. Now these are the languages what we have. So everyone are clear with this, right? No queries in language. So we are using Java as programming language. So it is just a code what we write here. It is just a code. Okay. Now APM server is nothing but a exe file, .exe file, .exe file. When you install this particular exe file here, so when you install this particular exe file in your mission, when you run this exe, you will get a APM user interface. So there you will get a button called start button. Okay. So when you start this APM server, it will start listening to the client. As I told, APM is a client server architecture. The client will send the request here. It will convert the Java code and it will send the request. This request, this APM server will listen. And what is the job of this APM server is, in the backend you have installed Android SDK, which contains UI Automator and ADB. Since it is Android, just remember UI Automator. So this is very important, guys. Now the APM has got a request here. Let's say driver.get only, driver.get, and you are giving the URL name. This request will be coming in like this in the form of JSON format. URL colon, then what is the URL like? Google.com. Okay. So the client is sending this JSON wire protocol to this APM server. Now this APM server is getting this JSON response. So what is the actual code that we are writing in Java here for this line of code? So it is driver.getOff, and we're launching the URL google.com. Clear? So when you execute this Java code, this Java code is converted. This Java code is converted into JSON format. In the Selenium also it's the same thing. Even in the APM, if you see the Selenium architecture here, I would have saved, yeah. If you see the Selenium architecture here, so you have your language bindings here, your WebDriver. This is the code what you are writing in Java. This code is converted with the help of WebDriver SPI into JSON format, right? This JSON by protocol is transferred with HTTP with the help of REST API to Chrome driver. Your Chrome driver is here. This it is sent to your particular browser which is targeted for execution. This is the architecture for Selenium. Now, if you see the APM architecture, this code is converted into JSON via protocol and sent to APM server. Right? The APM server start listening to the client communication and the client code. What this APM server job is, take this JSON via protocol, communicate with UI automator. Communicate with UI automator. Tell this UI. So this APM server will not have direct capability to interact with this mobile device, guys. Just remember this. This APM driver will not have capability to interact with these mobiles and with these tablets. So what are these mobile devices? These are Android mobile devices. When you say Android mobile device, who will have capability to manage these? Your Android SDK will have capability to manage these Android mobile devices. Agree? Now, your Android SDK is having two components. Just only one component. UI automator is the culprit which is sending the scripts to mobiles and getting responses from there. But you need Android debug bridge also, just to communicate your mobile device to your system where the APM is installed. That's why I wrote ADB also. Okay. Now you got a request to launch request in the form of JSON to launch google.com in a Chrome browser. So ADB, I will repeat that, Pallavi. I'm not still in Android SDK. I'll just repeat that. So you just got a google.com here request for APM server. Now this APM server will tell this UI automator, hey, from my client I got a request to execute or to launch google.com into this particular mobile device. Can you just push this? Now the UI automator's job is to receive this command from APM server, and send to communicate to particular mobile device and get the response from mobile device, send it back to APM server. So now this APM server will send back in the form of Java code back. If it is not element not found exception, or if the driver is not found exception, you will get exception. Or if it is launched, it will start going to executing next line of code. Okay. Now I just repeat this one. So when you get a JSON response, when you get a client response to APM, now the APM will ask UI automator. UI automator is nothing but the instance, or it's one of the component in Android SDK. Okay. So UI automator is one of the component in Android SDK. This UI automator job is to execute the scripts which are sent by APM into particular mobile device, which as per the configuration what we write in the code. In code, before this Java code, we will write some configuration. Hey, I want to execute in this device, in this operating system, in this device screen size, and this is the device serial ID. You just once you specify all this before execution of the code or driver.get, what it will do is it will just communicate with the ADB. Now the ADB is coming into picture. So when you're providing all these details, I will show you this in APM server logs clearly, how ADB is coming into picture here. Now, when the code is executed, it will check, okay, let's say Nexus 5 is the device what this user is given for execution of the script. Now, from APM server, a request will go to Android Debug Bridge. Now, Android Debug Bridge will check your system computer USB ports. It will check your USB ports whether any devices are connected or not. Okay. So once this mobile Nexus 5 device is detected successfully with Android SDK, I will show you how to configure this Android Debug Bridge and check your connected device is the device which you connected to USB is available with Android SDK or not. We'll discuss that in detail. Now, once this ADB says, hey, I have recognized this device, then what is the next task? Next task is executing the code here. So now you have a code like driver.get and launching this URL here. Okay. So once the configuration is success, then you will start executing this code. Then this code again is converted into JSON format here. So now this once it receives the command, the APM server is receiving the command in the form of REST API here. In HTTP with REST API. Now this APM server will tell to UI Automator, hey UI Automator, I have received a request from the client to launch this google.com into this particular mobile device. Even Android Debug Bridge confirmed that this device is active. Now just go and do this command in this mobile and give me a response. Now that command will be launched in the mobile device here. Okay. Then the UI Automator send back what is the response that is obtained after the execution of this particular step. Then it will like this, each and every code will be sent in the form of REST API. This is now who is playing important role. The important role is played by APM server and UI Automator, because APM server is receiving the command from client. Client is nothing but your code. Just remember that, guys. So it is receiving from your code. Now APM is telling for UI Automator, hey, I have detected. So the client said it is Android device. Now UI Automator, it's your responsibility because you are in Android SDK. Just go and communicate with the mobile device and bring back what is the response that is obtained after executing this particular client code. So this is how the communication happens in APM from end to end. Clear? So any queries, guys? Any queries? Do I need to repeat it? Okay. Yeah. So ADB is nothing but Android Debug Bridge. So Android Debug Bridge is used to detect your device and communicate with your device. Okay, which is connected with USB cable. So it's not only, see, ADB is not only, I just told ADB for your information. So ADB is not a part of APM, guys. APM will internally use, you need to set Android SDK path. After installing your Android SDK, you need to set your path so that the APM will go to particular folder. It will search for UI Automator and it will search for ADB. Then the devices will be detected. For you, since I have just told in a layman terms, even if a non-IT guy is coming, he need to understand what is the flow it is going. So now when you are installing Android SDK, you will have a better understanding. Okay, ADB is doing this task. That's why we are setting Android SDK home path. We are installing Android SDK for mobile automation. So this is the main idea of the architecture. This is the backend process how APM is going. If you want to write scripts in APM, you doesn't need all this one to learn. But I just wanted to make your fundamentals very strong. That's why I am going in detail, guys. Clear in architecture of APM how it works for Android. Okay. So just let me say for references. So if you see the task, what is next thing? For iOS, we'll discuss it later once we write the APM code and understand this one better. This is the architecture, guys. As I told, APM server will be running. So APM essentially is a server and it is very core. As I told, right, UI Automator and APM are very important parts here for mobile automation. So it is a communication bridge between client and mobile device, the APM server. As I told, it's already written in Node.js, and the client is nothing but the code what we write in Java, Ruby, Pythons. How this communication is happening between mobile device and your code. So this is your code, this is APM. But you know how APM is communicating again with mobile device. You will have Android SDK, our architecture diagram you're aware, right? So this is how the actual communication will happen. Setting up APM. So you need to install Android SDK. So I have downloaded Android SDK here. So how do you want me to share? Okay, I will share this in Drive, Pallavi. Is that fine? Okay, sure. So these are the required libraries here. So Android Studio I have downloaded here. So you can download Android Studio from here. Developer.android.com. So just navigate to developer.android.com. So here you can select an Android Studio. Then here download for Android Studio. So you can click on this button. You will get it's around 700 to 800 MB. So this is your setup file. So once you download, just install this one. I hope I haven't installed. Okay, I already installed this Android Studio. So it's like double clicking, installing very normal Windows application, guys, EXE application. So install this one. So once you install, you will be getting a folder under users. Just go to C drive to users. So user is whatever the username it is. Now here go to app data. Suppose if you're not able to view app data, just enable your hidden files. So click on app data, then I think it's in local. Okay, then you have Android, then you have SDK. So this part will be available for you. Okay, after installing Android SDK, this will be automatically available for you. Even I am opening this for the first time in this mission. So this mission is not set for mobile automation. I am setting up from the scratch so that this will bring you the live issues what we are facing so that it will help you to set up your missions very easily. Okay. Now you need to set up your Android home, right? So to set up your Android home, you need to set till SDK. You need to set the path till local. After Android, you will get SDK. So this is your Android home path. So just copy this path. Go to environment variables. Edit system environment variables. Click it here. So here you can use, I don't have any Android path. Create a new variable. Android underscore home is your variable name, and value is your path to your SDK. Clear? Set this path. Now your Android home is set. So the next thing is go to the path variable. Go to the path variable. So under path variable, we have seen how to set up Java path, right? Similarly, in your SDK folder, so let me close this one. In your SDK folder, you have different folders here. Let me explain what each folder will do. Okay. So under tools folder, you will have the options to create emulators. Then you have some libraries which are required for you to develop your Android applications. So platform tools folders will have your Android debug bridge application, ADB application. So under SDK, we have platform tools folder, platforms folder, tools folder, okay, and build tools. Now you need to set a path variable till platform tools because you are using your Android debug bridge here. Your Android debug bridge is available under platform tools. So copy this one, copy this path, go to environment variable path variable. So add a new variable value here. Okay. So till platform tools we have added. Similarly, add till tools. So why you are adding till tools and till bin? Till bin you need to add, guys, because in previous versions you are getting all these files in tools folder only. Now they have made as bin and they have kept inside bin. You have your UI Automator viewer. So your UI Automator viewer is available under tools and bin folder. So copy this path. Okay, copy this path and set into path variable again here. Just save OK. So any queries in setting up environment variables, guys? So before we check whether the variables is set properly or not, any queries here? Install your Android SDK. Once you install your Android SDK, then go to the C drive, go to the users folder, and what is the username of your, suppose if you are logged with your name. Okay, so I'm repeating it again, Pallavi, so that you can follow up now. So go to the users folder, just select which user you are logged in. Go to the app data. Suppose if you are not able to view the app data, enable your hidden files. Okay, enable your hidden files. You will see 3 folders. Go to the local folder, go to the Android. This is your SDK where it is installed. Your Android SDK is installed here, correct? Now you need to set your Android home. So copy till SDK. This is your Android home. Means your SDK is the root path which will contain different tools inside Android SDK to develop an application, like creating an emulator, build tools, libraries, extras, patchers, platform tools, Android debug bridge, UI Automator, UI, so all other tools like fast boot, monitors, like this. Clear? So copy this path, go to the system variables. You know where system variables will be, right? So go to my computer, this PC, system properties. Sorry, not system. Yeah, I think so. This man, system properties. Mean this PC. Open settings. So you can just search in the search bar like edit environment variables. Edit the system environment variables. So you can get in system computer properties, guys. So here, click on environment variables. Then we know how to set Java path, Maven, everything. So click on new and add your variable name as Android home. Okay. Then your value will be your Android SDK. Your value will be your Android SDK. Just your Android home is set. Now go to the path variable. So here you need to set two path for two folders. There are so Android SDK till platform tools. You need to set